Back for round two. That's right. We have 2 episodes of the show today. We are going to be discussing the great injury news that the Chargers got. Joe Ortiz, he made a roster move. What was it? And then, of course, there's some big news for QB1. Chargers Now is presented by PrizePicks. I am your host, Will Ortner, and I'm very excited to be talking about Chargers football because veterans reported for training camp today. Practices are going to start tomorrow. It is a wonderful day to be a fan of the Los Angeles Chargers and to be covering them here with Chat Sports. Now, you might be saying, Will, what is the injury news if there was no practice? Well, we're going to be talking about 2 key starters for this Los Angeles Chargers team. That is Ladd McConkey and Joe Alt. Both of them were dealing with injuries during OTAs and minicamp. Now, Alt was obviously still dealing in his recovery. McConkey, a little bit different. He ended up suffering a hamstring injury that kept him out for most of the back half of OTAs and mandatory minicamp, which is a big deal in my opinion because when you have a new offense, you want your players like McConkey out on the field as much as possible. Really not going through the motions, but more so understanding what the plays are going to be, understanding what is going to be asked of them and how to get the most out of everything that they are ready to do. We're going to discuss where both these players are at going into training camp. But if you're fired up like me, you're so excited that you had 2 videos of Chargers Now in your queue. You watched them both. You're going to hit the thumbs up button on today's video. You're ready for Chargers football to be back. I'm ready for Chargers football to be back. We could not be more excited for football to be here. All right, so Chris Rim of ESPN, he ended up catching up along with a couple other people with Ladd McConkey as he was walking into the facility today. He said that he's going to be full go, and he's very excited that this is the most talented roster. Now, when you look at McConkey, that is fantastic news, having missed all of that time during OTAs. Hamstrings, they can be a bit tricky. They can be a bit fickle. You do not want to have those kind of hangover for a while with you. When you look at the career of McConkey so far in the National Football League, that first year was great. The second year, not so much. Now, some of that has to do with the type of offense that the Chargers were running and maybe not using him to the fullest extent of his abilities, along with Keenan Allen being with the Los Angeles Chargers, taking away some of the reps, maybe taking away some of the targets, the receptions that McConkey could have had. You need to find a way to get him back to being year 1 McConkey and not year 2. When you look at the depth chart for this Chargers team, now we have them listed in a way that not necessarily is wide receiver 1, 2, 3, but where they are positioned. You got your X, your H, or your Y, depending on what you want to call it, and then, of course, your Z on the other side. McConkey is that player that I think is going to be able to do a lot of really good things for this team, and he kind of has to take a leadership role over for the Chargers. Now, it's obvious that Ladd McConkey has shown that he can be very successful when he's in the National Football League. He was a key star and a key contributor. He's still someone that a lot of the NFL views as being one of the players that is at the top of their position room. But I'm really excited to see him in this offense. Like I said earlier, Roman did not use him nearly enough. Greg Roman was very stuck in his ways. That is not something that Mike McDaniel is going to be. McDaniel is someone who is ahead of the game when it comes to National Football League play calling and understanding what is going to be asked of him and what is needed of him from his players and how to best get the highest usage out of his players. What I will tell you this is when I look at what McConkey can do in McDaniel's system, I really do think that we are going to see a gigantic leap forward and big growth for McConkey. McDaniel's offense is very unpredictable, and that is going to be a good thing for him. I'm excited to see him play in this offense. Now, when it comes to Joe Alt, first of all, he's a big fan of Toyota Siennas, apparently, but more so, and I think this is very important, he believes he's going to be 100% for camp. Now, that doesn't mean that he won't have any restrictions, but Joe Alt feels good, feels comfortable. He's ready to go run through a brick wall again for this franchise. And this is only going to be a good thing for the team. We're going to discuss this along with a couple other things on the show. But first, I need to let you know that today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 sports picks app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. With the football season right around the corner, there's no better time to cash in with our friends at PrizePicks. And I'll tell you this, the app is really easy to use. For player picks, just pick more or less on a few players' stats and lock in your lineup. That's it. Prize Picks is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. One thing I love is the new social feeds feature, where you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. You can actually follow me on the app, at BigWill7774, to see all of my lineups. Just like this one that I have for the football action going on later on this year. Quentin Johnston, more on his receiving TDs. Kenyon Sadiq, more on his receiving TDs. Jackson Smith and Jigba, more on his receiving TDs. New user offer. Best of all, play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. Just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right. Prize Picks just switched up their offers, so there's no better time to join. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 plus lineup. It's a great start to camp to have a player the caliber of Joe Alt being 100% healthy. Now, again, that doesn't mean there won't be restrictions, and in fact, I think it might be a good thing for the Chargers to have some restrictions for him. You want him to be playing his best football in December, January, and February. You don't want him dealing with something that maybe got started or an injury that happened early on in the offseason. This Chargers offensive line is miles better than what it was last year. Obviously, I think very highly of Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. I think that this roster is loaded, and this offensive line is going to be the key to how well they do. If the Chargers are able to be even a slightly above average offensive line, this isn't a team that can go to the playoffs. This isn't a team that can win the AFC West. This isn't a team that can win the AFC. This is a team that can win it all. And it's really going to be headlined by Slater, Alt, and Tyler Biadasz. At center, you got to be the quarterback of the O-line, and the tackles, they got to be able to keep the real quarterback, Herbert, upright. If those three guys can do what needs to be done and stay true to themselves, you're going to feel very comfortable come December, come January, come February, when the Chargers are taking on their opponents in big games. Is this the best Chargers roster in the last 20 years? Lad McConkey said it's the best roster he's been a part of. I want to know your opinion. Let me know down below in our comment section. Is this a yes or is this a no? The Chargers are loaded. There's a lot of talent. Now, if you're a real one and you're a big subscriber here on the channel, you have your notifications turned on. And you're going to know that we had a short that came out yesterday. Some people a little bit upset with me, that talked about the Chargers releasing offensive guard Ben Cleveland. Well, that was corresponding with this move because the Chargers have now signed a long snapper by the name of Peter Bowden. It is an interesting move. You're going to have a competition at that long snapper spot, and it shows that Cleveland was not really in a position to make this Chargers roster. One of the guards is now gone. Now, there obviously are some younger guards that are certainly performing well, and I think are both going to have a really good shot at making this team. But, and I can't believe that I'm going to say this, I'm glad that we're talking about legit roster moves. I'm glad that we're talking about a long snapper competition battle. I'm glad that we're talking about real things that impact the Los Angeles Chargers. We're going to talk next about something very cool that happened to quarterback one. That's right, Justin Herbert. He officially is engaged with the great Madison Beer. Shout out to Justin Herbert. Shout out to Madison Beer. That is an awesome special moment in their life. At least that's what I've heard from producer Tom as someone who is not engaged yet. Maybe soon. We'll see. What I'll tell you this right now is I am happy for the new, I guess, fiance couple. I almost said newlyweds, but that's not what they are. I'm happy for the couple. Man, that's awesome. As someone who loves love, I'm just happy that both of them seem very happy with each other, and it shows that Herbert is going into this season with maybe a different perspective on football. Not saying that his perspective before was bad, but sometimes when you're so football obsessed, you need to take a step back, and it'll allow you to have a newfound perspective that helps you reach greater heights. If you're happy for the great Justin Herbert, go down below in our comment section and spam that JH. Let him know that you are excited that he is, of course, now engaged. In the middle of us filming this, special shout out to producer Tom. The Chargers, well, they dropped some Super Chargers uniform schedule information for y'all, and I want to make sure that we got it out to you. First of all, the old Superchargers uniforms are so freaking cool. I love the navies. They're going to wear these unis week 9 against the Houston Texans. You are also going to see the Chargers in these unis against New England on Sunday Night Football in week 12. And you're going to see it week 17 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Very excited to see the Superchargers uniforms being worn by our favorite team in LA. Hit that subscribe button. We had 2 videos out for you today. We're going to have another video out for you tomorrow. A ton of coverage on the Los Angeles Chargers that you do not want to miss out on. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Cannot wait to see you guys next time. And as always, bolt up.